Hi, I'm Ray.
And I'm Saren.
We're your Spider Baby hosts from To Know Her Is to Fear Her, a Spider-Woman podcast, as well as proud members of the collective.
You're listening to Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks. Enjoy the show!
This episode of Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks podcast.
I'm here for Peter. Listen to that enunciation. Capes and Lunatics 2.0, baby.
Yeah, that's a new recording.
He's almost a fan.
He's growing up every day.
Only 8 more years till he drives. But anyway, welcome back to the Ultimate Spider Cast, the final chapter of Trinity Century. I am Phil, joining me as always. She who is a millennial? I don't know. It is.
Hey y'all, it's Lou. I'm fine.
She's the Turner of the last century.
Oh, and our special guest, who mustaches himself like Trinity Century. It is
Charlie, the Professor Esser. Mwah!
Instead of the mannequin, he has Tristan. You want to take him?
Yes. Except Tristan's head is not a bomb.
That we know of.
no. Tristan's a highly sophisticated android Charlie made. Okay. Well, biologically.
Nice.
Anyways.
So it's very apropos that Charlie Esser is here. Well, again, it's Superior Spider-Man number 9 we're going to be covering, but I think we might have...
Who else could we get?
I think we may have talked about this when it came out new, Charlie, because it was only in 2019.
Oh, of course we did. Yes, This was... Yes. And in fact, I used my Marvel Unlimited app to go read it again, but I realized, I could actually have just gone into the codes for the original one and read it again there.
That's right. Yeah, we had 2 places we could read this at. Yes.
Yeah, but then I'd have to scroll. I don't think the Marvel digital app is good for searching.
No.
Yeah,
it'll sort, but it won't say, give me this.
No, you need
Marvel Unlimited is although I was so mad that they didn't have the Dominic Fortune Marvel team up in the Marvel Unlimited app. That really frosted my knockers, let me tell you.
Yeah, I don't get them, how they have gaps in the Spider-Man stuff. I'm like, if anybody, wouldn't you have Spider-Man complete collections on there?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Why is it that when all spider adjacent people want a fresh start, they go to the West Coast? Because Venom did it. He's doing it.
Ben Reilly was in Vegas for a while.
Exactly.
Well, because you need to get away from Peter. Peter is very much a big person.
I agree. Not Peter Parker.
Yes, but I'm it'd be cool if one of them went to Detroit.
Right? Where they need the most help?
Yeah, but then they're going to be in conflict with the Great Lakes Avengers.
I think they always...
And what it is, it's yeah. That's the thing.
It's the thing you do if you're a spider person. You go to California to find yourself like everybody else. Well, I get it.
I think they try to get them as far away from New York and Peter Parker as they can. The only further place they could go and still stay in the country is Alaska.
You know what's weird, though? You would think that, because Chicago's Market 3. So you'd think you'd get more superheroes in Chicago.
There's enough gun violence, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying there's a lot of people in Chicago. It's a big, tall buildings. You could do a lot of superheroing in Chicago. No one ever superheroes in Chicago.
They're all afraid to.
Why did your eye drift over to my box?
Is that secretly Gotham? Batman's stay out of
stay out of Chicago. No, actually, if I was going to be really deep dive, I'd say it's because Polar Man is in Chicago.
You're weak sauce.
That's a BBC film, a TV show called My Hero about Solar Man, and Polar Man was the American superhero from Chicago who loses his powers and then actually has to be a bureaucrat in the superhero. It's a fun thing. Look up My Hero. It's a really good series. It's basically Superman and Lois, but played for laughs. And they do it well. You know.
Sorry to derail us so soon. It's just an interesting thing that I see happen to spider adjacent heroes that I don't know.
No. Well, because you know, half the population's over on the West Coast, so you have to go over there too. You know, I guess that's the answer. Tony Stark's out there. You know, there is an Avengers franchise. You know.
And you know, then you always feel like, you know, they get a Spider Person or somebody over there. They're going to try to like form a West Coast Avengers or something around them.
Yeah. Well, I think the central idea is that you're going to where there's not an already established superhero presence. So a place like San Francisco is a place without a superhero presence, and so the idea of going there means that you can sort of make your own superhero identity. You know, because like wasn't Daredevil in San Francisco too, or was he in? Yeah, he was in San Francisco. Yeah, You know, and also artists like to draw the Golden Gate Bridge. Sure. If you really want to get deep into it, Lilith,
reason. They love those bridges.
They like to draw. Well, where else are you going to throw someone off of? They like to draw interesting architecture, and so it's like, okay, so we can draw some stuff in San Francisco, you know, can draw LA, we can draw Las Vegas, because that's got really great
I was going to say, unless you're Peter David and you have everyone in Vegas, you know, Greyhawk, Ben Reilly.
Oh, yes. By the way, tomorrow we got to talk about the Peter David reference in...
the beer bottle. St. Peter David.
Well, can. That was a tall boy, 24-ouncer, like I like, you know.
St. Peter David, yeah.
Yes, anyway. But, no, this is actually really cool. This is a cool episode because it is,
it's a good
Otto.
One. It's a good one, but it's kind of like
the best one that we've done. I'm not hands down.
It's pretty, I mean, it's very good considering it's like a bridging issue because it comes right after that War of the Realms stuff. And then it's like, and it's like leading you into the last 3 issues of this series because yes, it ended at 12.
Yeah. I mean, it is, well, it's, you know, it's Otto dealing with the fact that you can't be a superhero and save everyone, but why not? And why should we honor a superhero when people are still dying? You know, if you have this power, you know, it's literally this idea that you can imagine Superman goes through every day. It's like, you know, there's a Saturday Night Live sketch when Jerry Seinfeld was hosting, where he plays Superman on the call-in radio. And they make this point, like, hey, couldn't Superman, because there was a garbage strike, couldn't Superman just gather up all the garbage during the garbage strike and just throw it into the sun or something? And it's, you know, which is, of course, Jerry Seinfeld Superman, he's like, hey, you know, it's not my job, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, you can think about a guy like Superman living every day with that realization that, yeah, you know, I could solve this problem like tomorrow, but I have to not do that because the world will become reliant on me if I do. And, you know, and then you have people who aren't Superman, like Otto Octavius, who want to do that, but physically can't and have to acknowledge the limitations of their own abilities, which is in its own way even harder, I think, especially for a guy like Otto.
Well, and he's coming to grips with all these newfound emotions, and he wants to be a hero, and it's like, well, you know, before he considered himself perfect, and it's like, hey, it was all pass and fail, you know, I made a scheme. Did the scheme work or did it not work? Okay, pass fail. Here, it's like, oh, hey, we won the war, but there was all these casualties.
Yeah.
But can we just talk about the best panel in the whole issue, where it's just like, you're not old enough to survive the horn of time. I'm old at heart.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we know that Lilith would be invulnerable as well.
I'm just old at this point. It's okay. I've accepted it. I love it.
That old
Get off my lawn!
See, I would argue that's not the best. I would argue the point when Otto says, you know, you don't look like you're old enough to remember the last turn of the century. You know, and you're going to say, oh, that it was so great in the 1900s. And then, like, you look exactly like all the hipsters. He's like, I'm not a hipster! I don't do it ironically! But then again, now they're new hipsters. They actually love the twirling mustaches, like myself.
I mean, I wish we would have gotten the story. I mean, Turner throws out that line, I was resurrected by Dormammu. It's like, oh, come on, I think he said
promises. Who do we have to act to get that story?
Oh, no. There were lots of villains resurrected by Dormammu. That was part of, that was Under Siege.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that was a whole thing. Basically,
okay.
The Hood. Yeah, because the Hood basically so they
were playing off when he said he was, so he actually was right. Remember in the first issue when they talk about it, they kind of just glossed it over, that we discussed.
Yeah, so essentially the idea is that during the siege when, Parker, what's his name? Parker Robbins was one of the seats in the Cabal. One of the things he does is he gets Dormammu to wake up a bunch of dead supervillains. Basically, everyone the Scourge killed.
I was going to say
every B-level supervillain.
Damn it, Scourge comes back to bite us again.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, Dormammu's undoing all the holy work that Scourge did. Took out.
On behalf of the Red Skull, though. So, holy work is a very, very open-ended question,
I mean, he took out.
Because remember, who was the first? Well, actually, no. The first victim of the Scourge was Mr. Miracle, but I think the second one was actually the Russian Red Skull.
He was one of them, yeah. But I mean, in that one Captain America issue, he took out 19. He took out like 19 villains at the same time. I mean, even Frank Castle's never done that.
Well,
no, because Frank Castle was bad at his job.
Mercy bullets, Lil. I don't think Frank Castle's never taken out 19 guys at the same time. I mean,
19.
I don't even think he's done that while he's been masturbating. So, just Frank Castle's very bad at his job.
Frank Castle is not a good vigilante. I mean, but and maybe that's the problem with Frank Castle is that he's actually trying to minimize civilian casualties. He's actually trying to focus on what he's doing. He's not just going to blow up the whole building because Kingpin's in it. Scourge will blow up the whole building. Easy. Yeah, it's like, and but that's Frank Castle. He always has that power creep.
But I was so glad I got to take a drink in this issue, by the way, because we get power and responsibility.
So Peter comes to talk to Otto about feeling bad.
I can't get away from it even in this book.
Peter comes to talk to the San Francisco Spider-Man.
Yeah, although to be fair.
Watch those alphabets.
To be fair, Peter doesn't say power responsibility. Otto just says, "Don't come at me with that power responsibility nonsense."
Finally, someone says it, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Well, when it comes,
Otto's literally been in his head. He's like, "Yeah, I know. I've seen the flashbacks. I know."
I mean, that's the thing of it, is that Otto is trying to deal with the fact that life isn't easy, that humans don't live in as Maz and I were just discussing, the world is not an on and off thing. The world is not an on and off switch, it's a dimmer switch. It's a constant gradation of this or that. And there's not there are no natural lines in the universe. Except for Nazis. It's the one.
I don't know.
They've got that's their symbol, is the lines. Because they're the only lines that exist in the universe. But the idea is that, there's always going to be a gradient of everything. And it's hard for Otto, who has been living on ones and zeros his whole life, to understand that idea that there is a gradient, that you can be better. You can, and still not be perfect. And I think that's the difficulty and complexity that he's trying to deal with. And sadly, what will eventually lead him down the dark path that makes him have one more day.
It's always just one more day.
Mephisto.
Just one more day.
Mephisto.
I demand that Marconi just make another copy of Tolliver, and then just have that meet up
I mean,
like, no.
Otto had to have DNA backed up somewhere because, I mean, he had his brain backed up when he got killed off in the 90s. So, like, they had to do
everything's backed up 6 ways to Sunday.
Yeah.
It's like Arnim Zola. There's probably like 4 of them. You know, it's like the hate monger. When Bucky says, "Yeah, I killed Hitler once," I highly recommend it. It's like, you know, everyone's like, "He didn't kill Hitler. Human Torch killed Hitler." It's like, well, no, Human Torch killed Hitler the first time, but he's been killed like 6 or 7 times since then. Everyone gets a chance to kill Hitler.
Although the body he's in this issue was a clone, like some kind of weird clone thing made by the Jackal, so maybe he didn't want that Miles Warren hand-me-down
No, it was
brand.
A Parker clone with Octavian DNA inlay.
So Connor Kent.
Amanda Waller's going on here.
I was going to say, Connor Kent in the Marvel Universe? What?
Yeah, well, that's what he did. I mean, that's how he describes it. You know,
your sexual tension, though.
That he intentionally, he's like, well, of course it's another Parker clone, but, you know, I made sure that I had my proper Octavius, you know.
This is like some Lexus Superman subtext. That's all.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, they always want to shtup, you know. That was, you know.
I'm going to need that as a drop, please.
Well, you know, the great David F. Walker had a post today where he's like, you know, he was very overwhelmed by the reality that, you know, he had, you know, had a moment of epiphany that really reminded him of his creative strengths and powers. But then, you know, that disappointment when he realizes they're never going to let him write a story where Popeye and Bluto are lovers. And you know what? Fair enough.
And Charlie jumped right in there and said, just change the names.
Well, yeah, you know. Well, I said, you know, but maybe Popeye and Pluto could be lovers, huh? Maybe that's the story? I'm just saying the Popeye-Bluto dynamic, with, you know, not for nothing, with the olive oil in there, you know. Because you need olive oil for lubrication.
I knew where it was going!
Hey, it makes the Devil's Triangle work. That's all I'm saying.
I like the emotion out of Otto and Superior Spider-Man. I really do. It's something I don't really generally do. So I did like this book a lot. And I like the juxtaposition of Eternity Century as, like, the 3-page villain that he was.
Yeah.
Hey, we finally found out what that mannequin was for.
Yeah! I was like, okay.
Got a bomb for a head.
I like my idea better, but...
It's got a fuse bomb for a head, which is also kind of in its own weirdness there. Oh. It's like, it's just a big old cherry bomb! You know?
Dynamite.
Yes. You know, honestly, when you're called Trinity Century and you're on a flying bicycle, are you really Trinity Century? It's like... Is your
what century?
Well, that's the thing. You know, it's like Kang. He's the turner of the 7 centuries ahead.
But I love this was like the difference between Peter and Otto, because, like, you know, when Turner's like, I will kill you all with fire, like, you know, Peter would have some kind of joke. Otto's like, that's not an expression that was used in the 1800s. Your persona is undone.
He heckled him. The what I call the Terry McGinnis school of fighting villains. He heckled him.
Exactly.
Take your avocado toast flavored duck-faced narcissism with you.
Burn!
Burn, 21st century.
Can't read this on TikTok. Too many people will be offended.
That is the problem with Trinity Century, is he is a...
He waited too long. Everything that he's... I'm like, outside of, like, the phones, everything's pretty much the same. What do you mean,
it's... Well, you know, he's railing against something that doesn't exist. But then again, isn't that all supervillains? Aren't all you know, as an example, you know, I've made several posts about this, you know, because there's always this thing about, you know, a cartoon where, look at all these children looking at their iPhones at the playground, and isn't that sad? And I just think, like, yes, let me take a moment to stare into my phone and complain to other old people about how sad it is that all children do is look at their phones and complain about things.
They're wasting their youth, Charlie. He's already wasted his youth.
Hey, the kids aren't on their phones as much as the old people because they can use more than one finger at a time.
Nice. Don't get
No, proper phone person is just using their thumbs. You never do this. That's
well, tell it the old people.
Ew.
no, you don't want you do this.
Don't get fingered.
Two sides on your QWERTY keyboard.
That's a BlackBerry, darling. That's a sidekick. That's not, I don't know how to tell you.
Well, you still have a QWERTY keyboard, even when you're, or some other keyboard if you want an alphabetical keyboard. I mean, nobody's
weirdo likes that.
one-handed.
Welcome to the BlackBerry Sidekick Podcast.
I'm just saying.
I had those. I love them, but it's a time and a place. 2021 ain't it?
No. I mean, hey, I'm old, so I do like a physical key that I hear a click with. But I've adapted to the idea that there's just a simulation of a keyboard.
I'm just like one-handing it. Da-da-da. I'm just like, what is this? I haven't done that since my BlackBerry. I don't know what that is.
Lilith is like drinking a coffee.
I'm like.
Lilith is in the car, drinking a coffee with one hand, typing with the other, steering with her knees.
What? Actually, no. You use voice to text when you drive.
True.
Be safe and be responsible.
Yes.
I don't actually even answer my text messages on my phone while I'm driving because
same.
You can wait till I get home.
The weirdest thing about voice to text is literally there was a commercial that came out like 6 months before voice to text became a big thing that was making fun of the idea of voice to text. Which is like, I just talk into my phone and that texts what I want to text. So I don't have to text. I just talk and it texts. But of course, then all the autocorrect.
They were laggards. They weren't early adapters, you see.
Yeah. Well, it was just weird. It's just something that always struck me as funny. Just because voice to text eventually became a very real thing, but still autocorrect was a constant threat. And
if you
so
have Apple, it's awful. No offense, Philip.
No one buys Apple, Lilith.
10% of the phone population is Apple.
I don't believe that. I believe Apple is just a
I believe
Ponzi
it because I go out in public. I know. I watch. I see
well,
what
see,
suckers are
that's
buying
your
Apple
first
so I can
thing. Don't
swindle
go
them
out
out
in
of their
public.
money. I'm kidding.
There's nothing good that goes on in public. That's all I'm saying.
You can be serious without...
Turn of the century. Speak of a turn of the century thing to say.
Okay, here's my question. All right, so the time horn doesn't work on Otto. I mean, that clone body's not 65 years old, so is it just...
It's the soul, it's the heart.
I was going to say, the mind, the soul, is that what it's working on?
I don't think that horn worked on anyone, Phil.
It worked on Peter Parker.
It was psychosomatic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Peter's just a fancy man last time? Okay.
Yeah.
It was psychosomatic, like all Spider-Man related things.
Yeah. I mean, exactly what that horn was supposed to do. It's like,
somebody took his money. I guarantee.
Yeah, I think it was like, yeah, this will kill all the kids. I don't know. Sure, why not?
Or I mean, he was
3 gold bullions. Yeah, give it to me.
Or he was killed a couple decades ago. The batteries on that thing probably ran out or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the idea that, because it doesn't even seem to kill anyone that's around them. So it's not like you see, like, oh, my ears are... It's not like, God Loves Man Kills, where everyone's ears are bleeding. And it's like, ah! It sounded like it made a really annoying, loud noise that caused people to run. And Otto just, punched him out anyway.
It was a train horn.
It was sad. But then again, Turn of the Century is literally a villain that was created to be a really sad villain. He is created to be sad. I mean, he was his first appearance. He's getting beaten up by Dominic Fortune.
No, that was his second. Actually, yeah, he was a Spider-Woman villain first.
Oh, he was. Oh, okay, my mistake.
But no,
she didn't get to do much for whatever reason.
But again, he is such an F-less villain. They even mention it here. It's like Peter's like, oh, I haven't seen. Last time I saw you were getting beat up by a senior citizen. Dominic Fortune. Because they're like, yeah, last time Peter saw him was in 1982.
Yes. Well, that's your
like my mustache is waxed to perfection. Their unruly beards are filthy.
That's sad. Because first of all, it assumes that, that real hipsters don't wax to perfection,
Whoa.
And to be fair, unruly birds were kind of a common trait in the 19th century, you know? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you know, men had big bushy beards that they barely combed. That was the 1890s, man. I mean,
Pirates, hard.
I just gotta say, I really think that Turn of the Century he is literally a hipster. He thinks of a time before him that was an idealized time, that he says everything should be like that, without any real comprehension or understanding of what time was back then.
Hipsters are the worst, confirmed.
You know where he needs to show up next, right? You know who he needs to fight?
Who?
Deadpool.
Oh.
Come on. Come on, Lilith.
Hipster versus hipster, like spy versus spy?
I don't think that... I mean, that's the thing. Deadpool's not a hipster. He
would just mock him for...
If he's written very badly, yes, he is a hipster.
He would just mock him for 20 pages.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say that, like... Because I don't think there's anything curated about Deadpool. Deadpool likes what he likes. He likes the Golden Girls. He likes chimichangas. You know... He probably likes baby back ribs. I don't know. But nothing seems particularly like, oh, I need, you never hear him speaking about, like, even the Thing had a deeper palate for beer than I think that Deadpool does. You know, Iron City beer, man. Beer of the gods.
What was it? Was it either I think one of the Turner appearances we covered, either the Spider-Woman or the Marvel team up, was that one of the ones that Lilith, you were like, wait, this got past Shooter? How the hell did this get past Shooter?
I'm pretty sure it was the Spider-Man one, Spider-Woman one.
Does he badmouth Pittsburgh?
No. She was just like, how did a character like turn?
Yeah, it was the beard. It was just like, wait a minute, that's it. Yeah, it was the Spider-Woman issue, definitely.
I mean, not for nothing, I could see Shooter being all down with completely lunatic villains. Villains that didn't make sense. See, remember, Shooter, it wasn't so much that he wanted comics to make sense. He wanted comics to be consistent internally. It's like you have to have continuity. He was Feige before Feige, except he was like a much more strict, nerdy Feige. And because Feige's like, we can make that work, you know. Let's connect it, but we'll make it work. We'll figure it out later.
Oh, but I have the story.
And Shooter was like, no, this is how these things work.
I have the story. All right, the Kingpin or somebody puts out a bounty on Turner of the Century, and the Punisher, Scourge, everyone's out going after Turner, and I don't know, Deadpool's either in for the bounty or trying to protect him. I don't know, but I need a Deadpool Turner of the Century.
It's called fanfic. Feel free to write it.
Hey, the creator of Turner is still writing comics. J.M. DeMatteis. We need a Deadpool Turner of the Century story. I'm going to tweet him when we're done.
If something doesn't exist, you have to write it. That's just kind of the rule, as Kristen and I were referring to over on Nightwing News this past week.
Oh, yes, true.
Had to plug my appearance, so, you know.
It's all about Mike.
I mean, like I said, I just... the thing about Turner of the Century is he is not a villain that has anything going for him. He is a gag villain from start to finish. There is never really a moment where it's like when you talk about like a character like the Wizard, or you talk about the Sandman, or the Molecule Man, or Crusher Krell, there are villains, or Armadillo even, or the Rhino. There's always something deeper to the story, that gives it some kind of oomph. I don't think we ever get any oomph in Turner of the Century.
We don't. He's just kind of a gag, and I'm like, and it's always like another more interesting villain at the end of the issue. Like, well, I wish we would have had more Spiders Man.
Well, Spiders Man, we always need more Spiders Man.
It's like Man Bat. You're like, yes!
There's a Man Bat comic out now?
Really?
It was issue 3. I would have picked it up, except it was issue 3. And I was like, Man Bat, issue 3. I'm like, what
are they doing with Man Bat?
I don't know.
Well,
Apparently something.
Well, any new book they put out now has to be tied to Batman somehow, even if it's like Joker.
Oh, people are going to be disappointed as hell. Like, wait a minute. Damn hipsters don't even know who Man-Bat is, to quote the lovely Gail Simone.
Anyway.
She's busy talking about
that's my one kind of gripe when you see Turn of the Century show up, you know he's only going to be there for a few pages, and there's a much more interesting villain at the end of the book.
Yeah.
Was he kind of...
He's kind of...
But you said it was a bridging issue, so it kind of makes sense. Like, they probably needed some humor.
Well, that's
things like that. And he's a joke. Turn of the Century's a joke.
Well, like you were saying, is he like a palate cleanser? Is he a speed bump, to slow, so we don't get to the end of this issue too quickly?
Heck, I could have used more kissing, to be honest.
Whoa!
Like, there was no need for Turn of the Century to be in this issue. There, I said it.
Well, you know what you needed? You needed someone that Otto could smack around and get his aggressions out with. Because otherwise he would have wound up fighting Spider-Man.
True.
That's the idea. It's like, okay, we need someone that
who's just annoying. That Peter will be like, yeah, go ahead, beat the guy up.
you know, I'm going that. Yeah, well, it's the idea that, he's just. And now you're making me feel bad for the poor guy because he exists.
He's a
which makes
bag.
which makes me wonder if there's someone out there that's going to. See, that's the thing. It's like, does he rate to that Batroc level where someone is going to say, I'm going to tell you the Turn of the Century story, the way that people have done with Batroc recently.
Matt Kona. Somebody page Matt Kona.
Is there someone that wants to tell, that, and, here's the thing. Here's how you can tell Turn of the Century story well, is he's actually a king. But instead of being obsessed with Egypt, it's like, yes, 1898, that's the time to be alive.
I mean, that would be a retcon that makes sense if he was like a time travel, or if he just got like Captain America and like frozen for the last 100 years or something.
Yeah, but the idea, and that would also explain all of his weird high-tech stuff, even though he's totally steampunk, That he's basically a steampunk king. That is like the super secret origin of Turn of the Century that we need.
Well, that's the thing. They just have never fleshed them out enough because it's like, oh, that was a better time. Why? Because it was,
Yeah.
Because it was! It's not even my drop, but...
Because it was, bitches.
No, I insert the D. That makes it not dirty.
It's okay. It's not like Rob's going to listen to this.
No, I know, but it is. But that's the thing. He's a character that exists, and like I said, I think that most other characters, he's actually kind of interesting in the fact that I don't think there is love for Turn of the Century. I don't think anyone is trying to solve the snively whiplash qualities of this character and make him anything more than a joke, which is sad in its own right. It's sad that, poor Turn of the Century never gets a story beyond being Turn of the Century for 3 pages before someone punches him. Because he's not a super villain even. He's almost like...
He's a nuisance. He's a super nuisance.
I mean...
Yeah, well... It was sort of like when Maz and I were talking about the Flag Smasher and how really the Flag Smasher was just a vandal. That was literally his character. He just wanted to smash flags. He wasn't actually trying to take over the world and no, he just says, no, but I will smash all the flags. I'll burn down all the flags.
It's legally
all the flags will
evidence.
be gone. And then it will say, well, now that we don't have flags, we'll just be a utopia.
It's legally admissible evidence.
My work is done here.
But again, besides his first 2 appearances, Turner's never had his own an issue to himself. Again, it's 3 pages here. He's
5 pages there.
He's just and when he gets killed, he's just the face in the crowd.
I know, but it is literally just like, what is his goal?
And
his goal is to yell
it back, and for what purpose?
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. He is literally.
I don't need permission for him.
He is the old man who yells at Cloud. That is who he is. And he is yelling at those clouds, and the clouds don't care.
Sounds like a plan. Have a good night.
Oh, there you go. Oh, we should have. Oh, go ahead and write down this dialogue. Oh, do a live read. Have Moz Manzor do Turner of the Century. Yelling at the hipsters. There's so many live reads. I'm just like, oh, Moz Manzor would be perfect for that.
There's very little that Moz Manzor would not be perfect for. So I think we can all. I feel that. Anyway.
Which Moz Manzor?
It's been really great stealing your identity.
Yes.
Because we have to.
He's good too.
Yeah, everything was great about this issue except for Turn of the Century. I'm being real.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say. It's a great issue, and I don't want to pull at the thread. I don't want to say that you could just take Turn of the Century out.
No, you absolutely need that conflict, but the way that the conflict is presented could have been better, but I do like the issue.
And again, it's a little bit of
Although,
action
again, like I would say, I think that's
relief.
very consistent with who Turn of the Century is.
It is, very much so.
It's like, yeah, that's who that guy is.
And again, too, there's a lot of talking in this issue. You get a little bit of action plus comedic relief.
Yeah.
Plus kissy. Can't go wrong with a little kissy. It's got everything. And it's got Spider-Man, like I said. So it literally has everything.
I mean,
that's what makes
honestly, how Superior Spider-Man ever got written out, I don't know.
And again, if you're going to end the series, fine, but I don't know why they had to reset him to status quo. It's just like there was so much character growth from Otto.
Editorial oversight.
I know, but it's like he had so much character growth, and it's like, oh, back to zero,
Well, see, you can make the argument.
And once again, the Mephisto.
The character growth is still there. That, yes, he's back to being Otto, and he's going to be in his own self-loathing place, but that everything about it... In fact, I think that the fact that he still knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man...
Does he know that?
...is still canon.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just... for what it's worth, has Otto been doing a lot of supervillainy lately?
I don't think we've seen 616.
He hasn't been doing much.
I don't think we've seen 616 Otto since the end of this series. That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah, and so I get the feeling that no one wants to really deal with it because it had an interesting, solid ending, and now someone the next person to touch it needs to have a good pitch. That's the thing is you can't go back to Otto unless you've got a pitch to deal with Otto. He is now basically he is like Gwen Stacy level. You want to bring back Gwen Stacy? What's your pitch on that? It's an alternate dimension, Gwen Stacy, and she has spider powers. Here's a picture. The kids love the picture.
All right, I looked ahead to issue 12. Yeah, he says, I know that I inhabited the body of the first Spider-Man for a time. Now that all trace of him is gone from me, these recollections are dim. I do not recall his true name nor details of his life.
He just said that.
I mean, wouldn't you? Peter's kind of vengeful when he wants to be. I'm just saying.
And of course, next time I meet him, I will crush him as Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, and then they never bring him back because I don't think it was as dim as he said it was. I think he's trying to say it's gone and da-da-da. And like I said, there's still that very real possibility that, Anna just pushed the button. And says, oh, I'm back. How did I die last time? I don't have a clear recollection. Usually I have a very direct recollection of when I died the last time. Because they have that, they have that whole, what are those guys? He copies everybody's cloning technology because, Otto, he's a really good scientist and engineer. He can see it, build it, rebuild it, and make it better, That's what he does. And, fixes the problems with all of those bad clones that the Jackal was making. Because the Jackal's not good at his job either.
I mean, honestly, if any of the villains were super great at their job, our heroes would be... outside of Frank Castle, we know he's bad at his job. They would have to be very, very terrible at their job, too. Yeah. So.
Although I realize we have seen Otto, just not 616 Otto, because we did see Otto in Doctor Doom.
Yeah, that was in 616, though, yeah.
Because that's the one where I think, Doctor Doom got his degree, and Otto no longer looked down at him as not having a doctorate. Yes.
But yeah, there was even a clone of him running around, of Otto, because remember he faked that Norman in that last issue with like a Tolliver clone, so it's like there's DNA, because I think they buried it. They had a funeral for, Elliot Tolliver, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, like Charlie said, it's like, why can't you do both? Why can't you have a clone of Superior Spider-Man running around, and you could still have Otto?
How do you think he is, Peter Parker? You think we need another?
Well, but the idea is,
Miles Morales is getting a clone saga.
Yeah,
why not Otto?
And to be fair, see, that's the thing is like Maria could go back to because Maria knows where all the bases are.
Mm-hmm.
So Maria's going to go in. She's going to go into the bases. Push the buttons. Bring back Tolliver, but maybe make a slightly different Tolliver. It's like, yeah, well, I gave you a little Marconi DNA in the nose, just to give you a little something of identity here. Or I put a little more Otto in you than Parker. And Tolliver comes back. He's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I just went off. Well, really, I took that deal with Mephisto. He is the Prince of Lies, correct? Was I really that stupid? Must have been that Parker imperfection.
Absolutely the Parker imperfection.
Well, and we know Parker makes deals with the devil, so obviously, I would bet you that Parker made a deal with the devil. That sounds logical.
Oh my God.
That seems like a guy who would make a deal with a demon because he just doesn't think ahead.
There you go. If they break that Mephisto deal Peter made, how about if, as a side effect, you see just like that Tolliver clone punching out of the grave or whatever?
We'll see what happens next. No, the next Mephisto deal is, of course, Heroes Reborn.
Yes.
Because it worked so great the first time, we'll do it again. But I'm actually excited because I liked the first.
Well, they have a chance to get it right this time, at least. So
yeah. Well, the thing is like
Well, this time they have the whole Marvel universe to play with. Before they just basically had the Avengers, the Fantastic Four. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I say, I think the real difference is just that they are not.
No giant Captain America breasts.
Yeah, they don't have giant Captain America boobs.
I'm not down for it now. Then.
Well, maybe they'll bring them back. I don't know, but
can get it all day, every day.
Yeah, I mean, well, the reality is that this Marvel Universe reality is the one that broke off from the Incursions reality. And so, although everyone thinks they're 616, they're really a completely different timeline because 616 ended. Along with Old Cap and Superior Tony. And really, what we're looking at here is if they bring it back a Superior... I mean, honestly, that's the real question is, will they ever bring back Superior Tony? Because we assume he died, but he's also Tony Stark, so the idea of Superior Tony and Superior Otto coming back as a super heroic villainous team up might be a very interesting story.
I've been crying for years. I don't care how they do it. I don't care if they got to do a what if. I want a Superior Spider-Man versus Superior Iron Man miniseries. Make it happen.
They might make it happen on the animated show.
Just two egomaniacs going at each other. Come on.
My money's not on Tony because he is the captain of Life Bad Decisions. So.
He is not good at his job either. No, he is.
It
helps to be born rich. That's the lesson of Tony Stark. If you're born rich, you can make a lot of mistakes.
And I mean, when he got superiorized, wasn't he just like drinking more and like sleeping with more people? Which it was just Tony Stark.
Well, he was
Tony to the max.
Mm-hmm. What he was not caring about how the choices he made affected other people.
Oh yeah,
it's what we call pulling an Oliver Queen.
Yeah, it was sort of so like when he deals with Teen Abomination.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, he's helping Teen Abomination, but he's also doing things to Teen Abomination that could very easily kill him. But he doesn't care because, well, it'll probably kill him because I'm Tony Stark and I am always right. So, problem solved.
Gimme.
Anyway.
All right. I was going to say, should we cut this here? Because, there really wasn't as much Turner here as there was been in the other two issues, so...
Yeah, but so much of other people that are more interesting. So You know, that's the thing. It's like 30th century. Oh, he was here and then he did a thing, and now let's talk about everyone that's interesting in this story.
That he had no effect on.
None whatsoever.
I mean, our first episode of Turner, I think, was 35 minutes, Lilith, and then last week we did like another issue along with the Turner issue, so it stretched it out a little more. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think we hit on all the good things. Charlie made some excellent points, as he always does. He kind of thinks outside the box, which is why we're so glad to have him.
Happy to be here.
He's the old. He's a superior expert. So,
exactly.
And Charlie Esser, we will invite you back in October on Ultimate Spider Cast for our Doc October. All Otto Octavius stories.
I'll be there as much as I can, man. You invite me, I'll be there.
Even if you can't, feedback would be appreciated.
Yes.
I will make it a point.
Trying to remember, I think we have his first appearance. I think we have the Mary Aunt May appearing. You know,
yes!
story Mary's Aunt May. Yes.
True love. True love.
I'm with Charlie on that one. Like,
yeah, you know, it's like,
screw you, Nathan. Screw you, Uncle Ben.
Whoa! Don't talk to Mephisto like that. That's why Mephisto turned him back, man. He gave him that chubby body. He's like, you're getting too close, man.
To be fair, you know, we all assume Aunt May isn't Mephisto.
That's what I said.
We had that discussion as
May Mephisto.
I told you that would be the
make the deal to keep me alive.
I know. I told you that would be the ultimate prank, man. She tricked him into saving his life. Make the deal to save her life. She's like, okay, kid.
I'm 90. What are you doing?
She's like way more than 90 at this point.
I know they've been de-aging her, but so wait, so how old is Otto?
And Aunt May all along.
So how old's Otto supposed to be, or is he just the young guy marrying the much older woman for her nuclear reactor? No, that's not a double entendre.
Being in his 50s.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, you know, Aunt May, I think
he's got a PhD, so he's definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Aunt May was drawn in a fragile way, but, you know, I think that she's at most 10 years old.
She pulls a lot of guys, so it's something about Aunt May's aura.
Well, you know, she's very slender. You know, she's very effete, you know.
Speaking of olive oil.
I'm just saying, you know, makes a guy feel big when he's with a slender lady. I'm just saying.
Whoa!
Not that that's a good. I'm just saying. I'm not shaming anyone on that. I'm just saying, you know, she's gonna pull in people because, you know, she takes care of herself and she always had her hair up in that nice neat bun.
She owns her own home in Long Island. No, Queens, my bad.
No, Queens, which is even better.
Yeah, that's why Queens is better.
Yeah, that's like $1 million home.
Not even Flushings. No offense to Flushings. I'm just saying.
No, but you know, you put your hair up in that bun, it's gonna make men go, I want to pull that pin out, man, and just let the grenade fall.
Boy, I thought Turner was gonna be the most controversial thing we talked about tonight.
On that note, we should go before we get canceled.
All right, kiddies. Yes, so next week will be the last episode of the month again, so more Scarlet Spider with me, Ray, and Matt. It'll be Maximum Clonage, and then back here next month. That's right, it'll be May, so we'll be doing our May Day May. We'll be doing a bunch of Spider-Girls, so.
Yeah, come on, you guys have to decide on the costume. Miles Morales, Spider-Ghost, or just regular Peter Parker.
Who,
Spider-Man.
for you?
Mm-hmm.
Do the Gwen.
Every episode, you gotta pick.
Oh, all right. One for each one. Okay. So, yes. So,
that way I can write it off of my taxes.
Oh, okay. Wait, we're getting paid. Anyway, so yes, send your thoughts on the upcoming issues. What look should Lilith Hellfire do? What is
talk to your accountant, buddy?
What is Aunt May's favorite positions? Email us capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember to follow Ultimate Spider-Cast on Facebook, Twitter. Find links to all of the social media for all of our various shows. Links to this YouTube. Links to merch. Links to the Patreon.
Stay hydrated.
Links to our Patreon. Links to the Southgate Media Group Patreon.
Yeah.
Links to everything all in one place. That's Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics. And please remember to support our sponsors. You want to hear that time horn and crystal clear HD quality? Get yourself some tweaked audio headphones. Like the hipster.
You don't want to be bad at your job like Frank Castle. Help Michelle Gray.
Oh, hunt
some killers.
Yes.
She is a very competent crime fighter.
You can use the coupon code Southgate at either of those sites to get a steep discount.
But I don't want any of that. What else?
Yeah.
I already got all that.
Also, well, if you like to read, go pick up Pod Life the book, now in digital and paperback. Or if you don't like to read, the audio version is coming soon. I promise you. I sent in my audio already. So,
but how would we buy that? Would we have to go down to some kind of show note to find a link to something?
Well, yes, Charlie Esser. Why, thank you. If you do go down to the show notes, you will find a link for Amazon. Although Lilith knows how to get there in her sleep. Use the link, yes, down there in the show notes. Get it all on Amazon, and when you do, use the link. Help us support this show, the network, and that man with
that original hipster blowing the time horn himself.
That man with the time horn, the exploding mannequins, Rob Master Doom Southgate.
Make it rain, so says Master Doom. Please kick me in the pants. Mark my words.
His mustache is not perfection.
Oh,
talk about a filthy beard.
Oh, listen to Charlie Esser comparing sizes of mustaches. All right, Lilith, where can people find you?
You guys want to hang out with me on Twitter? Find me at Lilith Hellfire. Over on Instagram at Lilith Hellfire 86. And for boring comic book content at Lilith Hellfire 69 on Instagram and TikTok.
Bye, Felicia.
All right, Superior Spider-Man expert Charlie Esser, where can people find you?
Well, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way there where Miles and Possible instead at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet things, but nothing at the moment. But tweet me there and tell me what to follow. Lively at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE. ESSER. Look for the two E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz.
All right, kitties. Thanks for joining us, you millennial trash. Come back next time for, again, 1 week maximum clonage, followed by Mayday May. First couple issues of her own book. Send in your feedback. And which costumes will Hellfire wear the week in May. But until then, swing on back.
I think she should wear Green Lantern costumes.
Flip. I think I'm just going to go Spider-Ghost.
Are you a fan of comic books? Are you a fan of comic book villains? Well, join me, Russell, as we take a walk on the dark side with Tomes of Evil, the podcast dedicated to discussing, analyzing, and overall glorifying the villains of Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and all your favorite indie books.
Tomes of Evil, a comic book